Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome back to the Pretty Privilege series. So, one of the pretty girls commented and she said, can you talk about tall privilege and model privilege? For example, the combination of being tall plus pretty plus thin privilege. What has been your experience with that versus being tall and chunkier or mid-size? I am 5'10" hourglass with a flat stomach, so similar body type to you. What has been your experience being tall at a large or medium? And then at a small or extra small. What does that privilege look and feel like? I love your stories and examples. Thanks. So, as far as tall privilege, I don't know how old this person is, but when I was younger, I did get recruited to a lot of sports. You know, being tall and thin, they recruited me to, I mean, they wanted me to play every sport, but I was not very sporty when I was in high school. I just did cheerleading and that was it. I didn't want to do anything else. Um, but I would say that's an advantage of being tall and thin and like athletic. If you're in school or in college, I do feel like it's easier for you to get recruited because sports, they literally, you can get paid off of stuff like that. Even like if you want to work in the fitness world, like being some sort of fitness trainer or competing in marathons and half marathons. I have a lot of friends actually in real life who they became fitness influencers because they just, they started running or they started like doing triathlons and stuff. And these are women who never had any sort of sports background. So I just think that when you're tall and thin, there's this stereotype that either you are athletic or there's a stereotype that you're like a model. So I think it depends on how I dress. Yeah, so when I was younger, it was more focused on sports. I would say as an adult, the difference between me at a size medium, honestly, when I was a struggle medium, nobody thought I was fat, even though I was objectively fat. Like in terms of going to the doctor's office, if I'm tall and I'm fucking 190 pounds, that is fat, according to the doctor. But because I was tall with an hourglass shape, people didn't clock me as fat, especially in the black community and the Hispanic community in particular. They did not view me as fat. They would view me as like being slim thick. So I think that could be another advantage to being tall is the fact that you hold your weight. If you have a flat stomach, flat stomach privilege, I would say that's probably the most sought after body privilege. I don't want to put it on a hierarchy, but I'm just saying if you do have a flat stomach, I mean, you could pretty much be fucking 200 pounds. That was the case with me. It's like you could be damn near 200 pounds, but because you have a flat stomach, suddenly you are not fat. You are slim thick. And I just think that's laughable, honestly. But I would say just be careful because in my case, part of what made me lazy is the fact that I still had the pretty privilege. I still had quote unquote pretty body privilege. I could still wear the yoga pants and wear a shirt with a built in bra. And then, I have a flat stomach or whatever. I could still wear a crop top. So I think that when you're tall and kind of mid size, it can be easy to slip into laziness because you still have a pedestal. You still have a pedestal one way or the other. And also, when you're tall, that weight doesn't show up in the same way as it does on short women. Like in my case, being 5'9", just imagine the women who are 4'9", or the women who are like 5 feet tall. 5 pounds shows up really like a lot on them. In my case, you won't start to see a change in my face unless I gain maybe 10 pounds or more. Just because there are so many, I have more body. There are so many different areas where my body will hold water weight before it gets to like my face or like my lower stomach and stuff. So I would say that can be an advantage, but it can also be a handicap because a lot of girls get stuck at a size medium. And by the way, if a size medium is your body goal, that's fine. I'm not talking to you. But in my case, my body goal was not a size medium. My body goal was size small or below, just because that's when I feel my healthiest. Um, but this pretty girl says, can you talk about tall privilege? Oh, by the way, another part of tall privilege is just being more noticeable. I think in the case of the male gaze as well, you do tend to attract more tall men. And I'm speaking from experience because one time I actually did people watch. So me and my exotical friends, all of us are equally pretty. All of us had the exact same phenotype. We all went out one day, and the only difference is that my friends are short. So one of them was plus size and like thick, and the other one was skinny like me, and she was just really short, maybe like 5'3". Well, maybe that's average. I don't know. She was short. So the three of us went out, and I assumed that we were all going to attract the same guys. I assumed that we were. So when we went bar hopping, I was surprised because I noticed my thicker friend, she attracted bigger guys, kind of like padded, more like this football player type of MLS men. She attracted that. And then my short friend, she attracted like the short, hot, in shape mixed guys. And then in my case, it was like the tall, in shape mixed guys. So I just thought that was interesting. I really do believe in this theory where it's like you attract what you are in terms of how you physically look. I think that's pretty common. Just attracting someone who looks similar to you, similar in body type, similar in height. So I think if you're a tall girl who likes tall guys, or if you're a tall girl who's athletic and you like tall and athletic guys, you're definitely going to see an increase in that. Because I told you guys about how, even in my case, when it comes to the male gaze, the more weight I lost, kind of the more in shape I was, I just noticed that the more in shape guys were that tried to talk to me. So I thought I was already, I don't know why I just assumed that like a man is a man and like men don't really care whether you have visible abs or not. But for whatever reason, once my abs started to come in particular, I noticed that was probably one of the biggest changes, going from a size medium to like a size small or extra small, because you're not going to have these drastic changes anymore once you get skinny. When you're obese, you're seeing a lot of major changes. You might be losing 10 pounds in 1 week. You might be having your entire face getting depuffed or whatever. But once you're already skinny, the changes are a little bit more subtle. But I noticed once my abs came in, that was the exact timing that Mr. Accountant, who I talked about a while ago, that was the exact same timing that he kind of came in and was like trying to talk to me or whatever. And he also had abs, obviously. So I just thought that was very interesting. Like, why is it that I was already skinny, attracting men who were also lean or whatever. But then once my abs came in specifically, now suddenly every guy that talks to me also has abs. Like, are these men looking for women with abs because, he's a man that has abs? Like, what's going on here? I don't know. But that's something interesting that I noticed. So if you're into abs, maybe you can get your own abs. Get your abs first, and you're more likely to stand out to your counterpart who has abs. So that was another difference. So this pretty girl said, can you talk about tall privilege and model privilege? So as far as model privilege, I think that's totally different because you're getting paid at that point. So there are different types of modeling. There's commercial modeling, there's like traditional modeling. So like on a runway, maybe you're in a toothpaste commercial, maybe you're like on television or something. So kind of like traditional media. And I feel like now it's moved more towards social media modeling. So kind of like Instagram modeling. Even the girls who do OF, the girls that are just taking pictures. So they're not doing any sexual acts, but maybe they're taking cute kind of racy pictures or whatever. That is technically a form of paid, I guess you could call it like boudoir modeling. I don't know how to pronounce that word. So yeah, as far as model privilege, I would say that's where your income can start to change because, you start to have options. So in my case, when it came to losing weight, I feel like when I was chunky, when I was quote unquote slim thick, aka fat, in my opinion, when I was fat, that was not an option. There is no model. Well, actually, I got one model job when I was fat. And it was actually really embarrassing because the guys who picked me, so I was picked by a group of white men. Like that's who the commercial was for. It was for this accounting firm. And this is before I became an accountant. But the guys who picked me, they picked me based on a photo that I had submitted when I was thin. So I was not dumb enough to put any chunky pictures on my little modeling thing. So when I got picked, I remember panicking and trying to go to the store early in the morning, trying to find Spanx, trying to find like the biggest undergarment that would suck in my stomach. I just remember being like embarrassed, like, oh my gosh, they're probably going to look at me and be like, wow, she does not look like how she looked in the photo. So I just feel like the insecurities, kind of these micro insecurities, increase with every pound you gain. Every ounce of weight that you gain, that's a new insecurity that you could be unlocking. So that kind of helps me to stay in check. It's like, okay, Exoticals United, do you really want that cupcake or do you want the thin privilege? Do you really want to be stressing out the night before a big event because you couldn't control yourself with the cookies? Do you really want to be stressing out because you happen to get this one modeling job. You're getting modeling shit once in a blue moon at this point. And you got this one job to be in this one commercial, and now you're over here stressed out because your stomach and thighs and boobs are bigger than what you showed in the picture. So I just remember that was definitely more of an insecurity. Whereas now, being thin, if I want to do something that has to do with, quote unquote modeling, it's just much easier now. And by the way, I am not a supermodel. I am not a professional full time model. I would say I do part time. I think part time is a better way to describe any sort of modeling gigs that I'm getting. As a matter of fact, part of tall and thin privilege. So the other day, I went to my friend's birthday party, and I met one of her friends who I didn't know before. And she was like, "You're pretty." She was just staring at me while I was talking to my friend. And I guess she was like kind of looking at me up and down or whatever. So this girl is really short, by the way. She's probably 5 feet tall, maybe 5'1" with heels on. So I guess she was apparently looking at my body. She was like, "You're pretty, jeez." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And she was like, "Are you a model?" And I was like, "Well, no. I mean, I did model, but I don't really say that in real life. I don't really claim that because I don't view that as like my identity. I feel like I'm a content creator. That's who I am or whatever." But I was like, "I mean, I used to." And she was like, "Why'd you stop? If I were you, I'd be trying to model all the time. I would be modeling right now." So she went into this entire rant about how if she had my exact figure, being this tall, slim, hourglass, size extra small. So the top I was wearing that night, it was a size extra small halter top, and then I was wearing some jeans that were like a size small. So she was like, "Oh, if I had your body, I would be modeling right now." And you'll know that you have thin privilege when other people start talking about what they would do if they had your body. Because that has happened several times. Nobody said that shit when I was chunky. Nobody said that. I would say that the only time I really got compliments and stuff was when it came to the black male gaze or the Hispanic male gaze. And I got a lot of attention in lower quality spaces, such as the beauty supply store, Walmart, the Hispanic grocery stores, just basic, I would say, kind of like cheaper environments is where I would get more attention when I was slim thick. And by the way, I don't believe any of these women on YouTube who brag about pretty privilege because it's like, okay, you have all this shit to say about pretty privilege, but then when I ask you, where do you get the pretty privilege? Name examples. You're too scared to name examples. Okay, it's because the pretty privilege is only working in cheap areas. So, like in my case, at least I'm honest about my shit. Yes, that's the main place I got hit on when I was fat was Walmart. The Walmart beauty aisle. That's literally the place where all the guys would lurk. And I also attracted more African men in particular when I was big. Um, and by the way, when I say big, I will admit I've never been obese. My definition of big is kind of like Meg the Stallion. I know you're gonna get offended hearing that, but Meg the Stallion's size was like me at my biggest. So not Meg the Stallion now, but Meg the Stallion when she was a little bit chunkier. That was like how I was at my biggest. So in the black community, that's not fat. That's still considered normal. I would say I was more like a quote unquote average black girl body. I would say that was my size at my biggest. But because I didn't grow up in a black like high school and stuff, that was not my standard of beauty. So I viewed it as being fat. My standard for bodies was like Paris Hilton or like, I grew up during the early 2000s. So my standard was always very flat stomach, very low body fat, muscle toned everywhere. Yeah, no back fat, no love handles. But this pretty girl says, the combination of tall, pretty, and thin privilege. I mean, I just think that I have more opportunities. I have more options with those three privileges being tackled together. So as far as being tall, the only women I've ever heard be insecure about being tall are ugly women and fat women. So that should tell you something. Like, if you don't believe me, go on TikTok right now and then just type in being tall. And then I guarantee anybody who you see complaining about being tall, she's either fat or she is considered unattractive in society. So that is something to think about. But I like that I stand out as a tall woman. I like that I kind of outshine the crowd. Like if I go into a crowded bar, I'm 6 feet tall with my heels on and stuff. So I just have all my heels on. My head, I'm literally a head and shoulders above the average woman in the bar, which I enjoy. I think it's fun. I like that my face card is just standing out because my head is literally taller than everybody. So, like, you can see me better than everybody else who's kind of hidden in the crowd. And by the way, this is not a diss on short women, but this pretty girl, she asked me about being tall, so that's why I'm talking about it. So I like that. I do feel like it gives me kind of this womanly privilege, kind of this seductive type of privilege. I have heard some women who are very short and very petite. I've heard some of them talk about how sometimes they feel like they look a lot younger than they are, or they feel like sometimes they can look childlike or whatever. I've heard some of them complain about that. And I've also heard some women talk about how they have to wear high heels all the time, just to be taller and to be seen as more of an adult. I don't necessarily think that's true for all short women, but I like that even if I wear flats or flip flops or whatever, I still look womanly. No matter how skinny I get, I still do look womanly. I will say though, being thinner, I do generally look younger, and that can get annoying. Having like 22-year-olds trying to hit on you and shit. I'm not a cougar, so I think if you're a cougar, maybe you would like that. But I'm not a cougar, so I'm not really. I don't really flirt with like college boys and stuff. That's kind of weird to me. But this pretty girl says, what has been your experience with that versus being tall and chunky or mid size? So, being chunky, I was always camouflaging something. So, I would camouflage my arms, trying to camouflage my ass, trying to camouflage the cellulite. I was trying to contour my face into oblivion. I could never wear my hair in a bun. That shit's out the window because my face was like a bowling ball. So, why would I wear the hairstyle that literally emphasizes the roundness of your face? That's the worst hairstyle to wear if you have a big swollen face. So I could never wear my hair in a bun or ponytail. That was out of the question. I always had to cover the sides of my face to try to make my face appear slimmer. So I would say being chunky, that was kind of one of the downsides of that, is just feeling like I can only wear one hairstyle. And then I always had to wear my hair super long too, like a bust down. I always had to have the bust down styles because I needed to cover that bra strap fat. I needed to cover that, the backside and the love handles and everything. So I would say that was a downside. And now I love wearing my hair up. I actually just did a really cute updo recently. I missed wearing my hair up. I just think that's such a privilege. A lot of privileges I took for granted when I was younger because I was always thin, so I didn't realize that the reason that my ponytails and buns were always slaying was because of my face card. I didn't really realize that until I lost that same face card to having fat. The fat was kind of obstructing my natural bone structure. My nose was swollen, cheeks were swollen, mouth is swollen. And a lot of people don't realize that when you're fat, you don't have as much like lymphatic drainage. Like your drainage system is fucked up or it's overloaded with all that shit that you're eating. So that's another thing too. If you are losing weight, I hope you're doing like gua sha or lymphatic drainage massages. Even going to the sauna is helpful as well for lymphatic drainage. Or if you have LED lights, using the yellow light, that helps with lymphatic drainage. But when I was chunkier, I couldn't wear the cute hairstyles. The best I could do when I was chunky is a half up, half down in terms of hairstyles. I could never do fully up. I couldn't do like just a full blown ponytail or, just a full blown bun or anything where my hair is kind of out of my face. No. Because the cheeks, my cheek area was just so fat and chubby. I just didn't want to show it. So doing a low ponytail or something, absolutely not. So one of the advantages of now being very thin is I don't have to worry about trying to get different angles. Like when I would take a picture, I remember spending so long just trying to edit my pic. It would be a basic picture, not even a picture of my body, just a picture from the neck up, just a basic selfie. I would be editing the selfie into oblivion, trying to thin out my face, trying to slim my cheeks or whatever, trying to slim it down so I don't look like Porky the Pig. I also feel like bigger women kind of struggle a little bit more with negative stereotyping. So, for example, let's say you're already black, and then on top of that, you add obesity to it. What do you think are the average stereotypes about obese black women? Same thing with being white. Let's say you're already white, and then you add obesity on top of that. Do you think people are more likely to stereotype you as a Karen? Yes, they are. So I just feel like the thinner that I've got, the more of like this princess privilege. I feel like there's a difference between pretty privilege and princess privilege. Like you can be pretty and still not get treated like a princess. Because have you ever heard of like the resting bitch face or whatever? So examples of women who have pretty privilege but not princess privilege. These are the women where maybe they have a mean girl attitude, or they have kind of this maybe a ghetto ratchet or aggressive attitude, or maybe a violent attitude. So they're pretty, like their face is pretty or whatever, but because of their ratchetness, they're not treated as a princess like somebody who is smiling all the time, or someone who's like, I don't know, maybe she wears dainty dresses as opposed to wearing chains and baggy jeans and like Air Force Ones and stuff. So I feel like the thinner I've become, kind of the more princess stereotypes I get, or almost like this princess treatment I get. And this is not just from men, this is also from like women as well, just because I've noticed that older women tend to dote on me a little bit more. They compliment my outfits when I'm wearing the most basic shit. Like somebody literally complimented my denim the other day, like my jeans. That is a very basic type of clothing to wear. Anything denim, people wear denim all the time. Like, why is it that mine is the cute one? Well, you're saying that because you are biased in favor of my body type. You like how the denim looks on me. You like how it looks on my legs. I don't see you ranting and raving and complimenting the jeans of women who are 500 pounds. So I just feel like people dote on me more. It's kind of like they kind of baby me in a way, but not babying me in a condescending way, but they're softer with me. They treat me more softly and they're more gentle towards me. I feel like they're more likely to give me a compliment. Even these comments that I've been receiving from a lot of Asian women lately, I don't know why the thinner I get, the more I'm stereotyped as Blasian. That's a side effect. That has more to do with my phenotype though, versus just my weight. I do know though that in the Asian community, being very thin is common. But for whatever reason, a lot of Asian women lately have been really complimenting me or telling me that I look like their family members, or sometimes even bringing up my skin complexion in comparison to theirs. But yeah, like I said, that's more phenotype based. But I also think that being thin contributes to it, because it's almost like they're babying me. Like, oh, you look like my grandchild. You look like my sister. Oh, you look like my family members. Oh, well, do you date Asian men? Well, why do you care suddenly who I date? Nobody gave a fuck about my preferences, who I dated, who likes me, and who I like. Nobody cared when I was a beluga. Nobody cared because I didn't have the same level of social status. I didn't have the same visibility. And also, the chunkier I get, the more I have to rely on hair and makeup to carry me in terms of beauty. And also, the more like insecure I would be about my outfits. Every outfit had to be the perfect fucking outfit. Every wig had to be perfectly laid. My nails had to be perfectly done. You know why? Because it was all a facade to try to hide behind that stuff. I was hiding behind it because I didn't want to deal with the fact that my body was fucked up. My body was fucked. I did not meet my own internalized beauty standard for my body, which is literally that is me. Like your face, I do agree that your face is very important. I don't want to put it on a hierarchy and say one's more important than the other. But like my face card did technically decline in terms of my internal beauty standard because my face doesn't look the same when I'm big. Your face doesn't look the same at 200 pounds versus when you're 120. That's an 80-pound difference. So I just feel like a lot of the insecurities that I had, like these micro insecurities, they started to go away the skinnier I became. But this pretty girl says, what has been your experience with that versus being tall and chunkier or mid-size? Well, the pedestal, in my case, my pedestal was not as big. Also, I just noticed that people watch my every move now in a way that they didn't before. They're watching and memorizing my fucking outfits. Who memorizes somebody's outfit, first of all? So it's like they're memorizing my outfits. Like just last night, actually. Last night, me and my friends, we went to the court. We were out playing a game or whatever. You know how you play basketball with your friends, you play tennis, whatever. I was wearing some cheap leggings. They were not cute. They were not Lululemon. They were basic black leggings, and I was wearing a white shirt. So that is the most basic outfit that you could possibly wear. Then I had on a jacket, and like because I'm tall, the arms of the jacket were too short, tall girl problems. So I basically had on a fucking high water jacket. I literally looked like a limp noodle walking around with my high water ass jacket on. And then people are like, "Oh my god, you look so cute. Oh, I love your jacket." This jacket doesn't even fit me properly. What do you mean you love my jacket? This literally does not go with my body type. It does not fit my length of my arms. The jacket, it's barely noticeable. It's not a colorful jacket. It's not a cute jacket. It's just a neutral colored jacket. Literally like a gray jacket. Just imagine the most basic jacket that you could get from Goodwill. That's how this jacket looked. But suddenly, because I'm skinny and I have like a flat stomach and everything, oh my god, your jacket is so cute. Oh wow. Look at that jacket. When I was chunkier, I used to collect jackets. I had all the jackets. I had the red raincoat, I had the green raincoat, I had the North Faces. I had all of the cute jackets and the prettiest coats, honestly. When I was a little bit bigger, I had such cute jackets and coats because I relied on those to cover up my body. So, why is it that I would get a compliment on my coats once in a blue moon when I was chunkier? But now, suddenly, now that I'm a twig, oh my god, look at this jacket! It's literally a basic, like, $5. I can't even remember how much that jacket cost, but it was definitely less than $10 because that jacket was a part of this short set that I got. And I didn't wear the short set part because the shorts are too short. This is another part of being tall. I know that a lot of people are going to say, oh, you should still wear the shorts because, like, you have the body for it. Okay, well, some of us don't really want to show our cheeks just on a random Tuesday. So, no, I will not be wearing those shorts unless I'm going to the beach or, it's really, really hot, or unless I'm trying to get the male gaze or something. I don't know. I have a boyfriend or something. So, with that jacket, it is an extremely cheap jacket. It's very thin and low quality. And don't get me wrong, it's cute. Like, it's very cute, but I just feel like that is proof that your body is the outfit. I'm telling you, your body is the outfit. Your body is the hairstyle. Because even with my hair, I put my hair in the most basic bun. I had frizz coming out at every direction. Curly hair problems. Frizz everywhere. As soon as that moisture even touched my hair, it just looked like I got electrocuted, but my hair was still in a bun. And then suddenly people are like, oh my god, oh, look at your hair. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, I love your hair like that. Oh, it's so cute. Even this one guy, there's a guy who's like, he's trying to flirt with me or whatever. He's like, oh, wow, you look so good. Oh, you're fine. Of course, I keep getting that comment. That's another thing, too. For whatever reason, before, when I was more slim, thick, or chunky, I would get more comments like, you're pretty, you're beautiful, hot. Or like, she's sexy or whatever. Now suddenly it's fine, 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 fine. Every 10 seconds, oh, she's fine. Oh, you're fine. Oh, she's 90s fine. Oh, she's like, why is everything I'm suddenly fine? And that's the main thing. And I feel like saying fine, it has to do with my body being thin, kind of like the women in the 90s or early 2000s. Because think about all those women. Nia Long, Naomi Campbell, Halle Berry, all those women like Megan Good, Lauren London, they all were thin. They didn't have like a BBL type of body or like a, and they also weren't anorexic. So they had my body type basically. So just a basic healthy weight, nothing too fancy. So that's something else I noticed too is the compliments are different. People bow down and worship the most basic outfits, and then they try to make an entire conversation just based on my body, obsessing over my workout. And I don't know how many times I have to tell people it's not the workout, it's my diet, it's not what I do, it's what I don't do. It's the fact that I do not overeat carbs, which is very common in the United States. Most people are eating empty carbs, and then the carbs cause you to hold water, and then also the carbs cause you to crash. You'll have that carb crash, aka hunger and cravings. So you're constantly gonna be on this roller coaster with your blood sugar, depending on how you're eating carbs. So I try to tell people, no, I'm literally just eating fruits and vegetables. That's the majority of my diet is whole foods. I literally eat like today. Well, actually, today's not a good example because I didn't eat that well today. It's only like noon when I'm recording this, so all I had was like some bacon. I know that's really bad. I didn't go to the store, so that's why I ended up having bacon. I had a few strips of bacon for breakfast, and then I had some grapes left over in my cabinet. But after I'm done recording this, guess where I'm going? I'm going to the store to purchase what? Fruits, vegetables, and some rotisserie chicken. even though you guys know that I hate chicken. Chicken is nasty. It's disgusting. But I will be eating it because I'm trying to do lean protein. And I don't always feel like cooking eggs. And then, sometimes I don't feel like making turkey. And so, you know what? Maybe I'll get a turkey leg. Maybe I'll get some turkey necks or something, and then slow cook some cabbage with the turkey in there. Okay, yeah, I just thought of an idea. Maybe I'll do that. But then I would have to go to Walmart though, which I don't want to do. So actually scratch that. But I've noticed when you're thin, people think you're cute. Also, something very interesting that I recently noticed. So I'm a part of this new fitness group because I told you guys I tried out some new sports. So I'm no longer doing the same sports as last year. I'm doing different sports. So one of the sports that I'm doing, it is not a cardio sport. This is more of a chill. Like when I go to this sport, I don't even wear my workout sets. When I go to a hiking group, that's when I pull out my cutest workout sets. That's when I pull out the bodysuit, is when I'm going on a long hike or if I'm going running or something. That's when my cute fitness outfits come out. But with all this other bullshit I'm doing, just basic sand volleyball and all that, that's very like low quality workouts. Well, I won't say low quality. I'll just say it's like soft. It's like a soft girl workout. That's not my real workout. So I'm literally wearing basic outfits such as $5 jackets. That's not what you're supposed to wear when you work out. You're supposed to be wearing a sports bra or an athletic shirt, but I wasn't wearing that. I literally had on no bra. This is the second time that I've come to this particular group with no bra on. Just a basic ass, those yoga shirts that have a built-in bra? Okay, so that's basically you don't really have a bra on. The bra is just kind of built into the shirt. You're really supposed to be wearing a sports bra. But because I'm thin, I feel like women also, they just pedestalize my outfits as, oh, you're cute. Oh, she's so cute. Oh, she looks cute. Oh, her jacket is cute. Oh, her shirt is cute. Oh, her shoes are cute. My shoes, the fact that a man complimented my shoes a couple weeks ago, if I could show you guys a picture of these shoes, you would laugh. As a matter of fact, I will try to insert a picture of like a very similar looking pair of shoes. These are the dirtiest shoes of 2026. Literally have holes in them. There's a hole in the back of the shoe, but because I'm not doing any real workouts, I don't care, so I just don't give a fuck. So when you're thin, you could damn near dress homeless. You could dress like a bum, basically, and people are still going to be like, oh my God, you're so chic. Oh, you're so fashionable. Oh, you look so expensive. Oh, your outfit is so cute. Oh, you're gorgeous. Meanwhile, your shit costs $5. You got it from Goodwill. But no, something else I was going to say though is, so I noticed at one of the groups that I go to, there are other girls there and they're also in shape, but they're not like how I am. So when you're a size medium, you are definitely still benefiting from thin privilege. Like, make no mistake, you are absolutely not fat. You are absolutely a part of the thin and pretty committee, okay? You're still thin privileged. But I have noticed though that at this particular group that I'm going to, the other girls there who are all thin, nobody is fat. Nobody is a size large. They're all like, well, actually, no, I saw one girl. She was like a size large. But I would say for the most part, they're a size medium and below. I've noticed that even some of the girls who are also skinny, they're still looking at me and kind of being like, I don't want to say intimidated or standoffish, but definitely not as friendly as when I was slim thick. When I had a fat ass and like kind of a slightly pudgy stomach and a double chin from the side angle, everybody was my friend. Everybody loved me. Everybody got along with me so well. I mean, I had so many friends. I had so many female friends, so many women around me all the time complimenting me. Oh, you're so pretty. I love your hair. I love everything. Okay, so everything I did was fucking perfect and I'm a fucking angel when I'm chunky. But then suddenly, when I'm popping over here in an extra small with my abs showing, there's no fat on my back, no love handles, nothing. No bra strap fat, no rolls. Then suddenly they're just staring at me, I noticed. And I will be honest though, this is a new group though, so it could be just these women are bitches, I don't know. But I did notice last week that they were definitely looking at me and then they didn't say anything. I was like, why are they just staring at me? And I was thinking, I was like, oh, are they starting rumors about me here already? Like, does this have to do with a guy? Because, some of the guys have been trying to flirt with me at that particular group. So I don't know. I was trying to figure out what was going on. The next time I go, I'm probably just going to confront one of the girls and just say hello and just kind of figure out what she thinks of me so that I'm not negatively stereotyping, because maybe I'm stereotyping. But I did notice last week when I was wearing my basic outfit, dirty shoes, basic leggings, black pants, white top, basic $5 Goodwill outfit. These girls are like staring at me up and down and like looking at me, but then they're not saying anything and they're not smiling. So it just gives this vibe of they're comparing themselves. So as I've gotten thinner, kind of the thinner you get, the more women will compare themselves to you. And I've just noticed that culture in general. The more that you meet another woman's beauty standard, the more she's going to compare herself to you. So that's why you see a lot of women talking about monitoring spirits or people screenshotting their Instagram pictures and stuff and like, trying to zoom in or trying to figure out like, oh, why does she look like that? Why does she look so skinny? Is she using filters? Is she, where'd she get her outfit from? How does her outfit look so good? And then my outfit looks like trash. Well, it's because when you're skinny, you can spend $5 on an outfit and still look cute. It's the big girls that have to spend $60 on a bra. It's the big girls that have to spend $150 on some jeans that won't pop and rip in the inner thighs. That's more so what the big girls have to buy. They have to buy Lululemon leggings with like the reinforced lining and stuff so that their rolls don't pop through. So, they're trying to make sure they're not bursting out like a can of biscuits. You know how you open the Pillsbury dough and like once you open it, it makes like this popping sound. So a lot of women who are bigger, those are the women who have to make sure that they're not popping out of their jeans. They're the ones where the buttons are popping off of their jeans. You know that one metal button on your jeans where it's like you zip it up, then there's that hard button right there? Women who are big, well, that whole button could be ripping out. So yeah, they have to buy the ones where it's like reinforced denim, it's got all this extra lining in there. So I would say that's another aspect of thin privilege. But this pretty girl says, I am 5'10", hourglass with a flat stomach. So similar body type to you. What has been your experience being tall at a large or medium, and then at a small or extra small? So the biggest thing that just popped up in my head right now happened to be with an ex. So when I was a large or medium, I call it like a struggle medium, I just noticed I had more insecurities in that relationship. I had more sexual insecurities. So I felt like when I had clothes on, I looked cute. I look fine with clothes on. But then as soon as my clothes come off, that's when all the confidence also comes off as well. Because you know what? I don't have the push-up bra on. I'm not wearing my little waist training thingy that I wear under my clothes, or, nothing is being sucked in. So I definitely felt more insecurities with that. Also with my skin, having cellulite, it's the back of my legs in particular. That was my biggest insecurity. Literally, it's the back of my thighs. So, okay, when I got bigger, I already had an ass, but then the bigger I got, it was almost as if I developed a second ass below the first one. So it's basically, I was giving like saddlebag vibes. So it's like, okay, I already have enough butt, but then the fat didn't know where to go, so it just all crumpled up in the back of my legs. And then one of my exes, he was trying to compliment me actually, and he was like, yeah, a lot of men are going to be looking at you because you have big legs. And like, that was the one time I had ever worn shorts. It was my first time wearing short shorts around him. It was so hot, I didn't have any other option. And by the way, guess what kind of shorts I was wearing? I was literally wearing running shorts. They were not the cute types of shorts. They were running shorts, and I wore those because I knew that in terms of jean shorts, I didn't have the confidence to go into the store and then pick a new jean size. So I couldn't accept the fact that I'm no longer a size 8. I'm no longer a size 6. So I didn't want to go into Old Navy or whatever and try to pick out a new pair of jean shorts, because that would have destroyed my self-esteem even more. So I decided, let me wear this little short set. So I had a running shorts. They were like these pink and white running shorts with a matching pink and white jacket. So it was like a pink and white rain jacket that was like, it was a cute little athletic look. And I just wore that because I was like, I can fit in this, or I can somewhat fit. I really couldn't fit because my love handles were still hanging out of the shorts, but because I had on a baggy jacket, you couldn't see the love handle part. So my running shorts were so tight that they looked like booty shorts, and my ass was basically eating up the shorts. And so when I got out of the car, I remember feeling so self-conscious when I was sitting in that passenger side of my ex's car. I did not want to get out of the car because I knew that he would look at me. He naturally would look at me all the time. I knew that he would stare at me when I got out of the car because he would be like looking at my ass basically. And so I remember sitting in the car in the parking lot. I remember like sitting in the car in the parking lot trying to like prolong the conversation so that like we don't get out of the car, or just to kind of delay the time of us getting out of the car. I was waiting for him to get out of the car first. And then I was going to get out once he's getting out, because then like his back is facing me, so like he can't see my butt hanging out of the shorts. He can't see like my cottage cheese on the back of my thighs. So I ended up just getting out of the car. I tried to quickly get out of the car, and like he still saw my shorts and like how basically my butt was hanging out. And then he was trying to compliment me or whatever, and he was talking about like my shorts. And as soon as he said I have big legs, like, he was trying to be nice, trying to say it like, oh, you look cute, your legs look thick. I remember feeling like, oh my God, I need to get in the gym immediately. So that was another thing too. I just felt like when I was struggle medium, that's what size I was back then. So I was one of those girls who was trying to convince myself that I was a medium, but I was actually a large. The outfit I was wearing was a size large, and it was skin tight. So really, you could argue that I was like an XL or a 1X or whatever. But I feel like that's a different experience that I had back then, just kind of that micro insecurity and, just not wanting my significant other at the time to see me showing my body. And then I told the story too, the bikini story, about how like he took me shopping, he took me to get a new bikini, he took me to the beach and everything. We had a little road trip, we went to the beach. Normally, a regular girl would be loving that. A regular girl would be enjoying that. But my whole day was ruined because I was insecure about going to the beach. So that was ruining my whole day. I wasn't enjoying it like, oh my God, this is so much fun. I got a new boyfriend. He's taking me to the beach. It's going to be like a good time. No, I was thinking, okay, I can't eat. Like, I literally remember us standing in line at the Starbucks. I remember him saying, do you want to go get something to eat? And I remember being like, no, because I already felt fat enough. I didn't want to go and eat lunch and then put on my bikini and go to the beach, because I knew that would just make me feel even worse. So I remember us standing in a long line at the Starbucks because that's all I would eat that day, because I was just so desperate to not have my stomach jiggling. Because whenever I would eat back then, I already had a lot of water weight, and I felt like whenever I would eat, I would have a food baby, like a really big food baby, not like now where it's just a very small food baby. But I just felt like I would jiggle a lot more after eating. So I didn't want to eat. So that's another example of like, kind of having this experience of being a struggle medium or a large versus being an extra small. I was just thinking about this the other day. I was like, I can't wait for summertime. I hope they do have a pool party. Like this new group that I'm in, I really hope that they have some sort of cookout or some sort of pool party this summer, because the way I will walk in there and slay with my bikini on, I can't wait to go in there with my hair in a curly bun. Or I could wear a wig and then pull a publicity stunt and rip off the wig at the pool like I did last year. I could rip off my shit in the middle of the pool and just have my long natural hair out. And then everybody's going to be like, oh my God, look at your hair. Oh, it's so pretty. I just feel like before I was not excited about experiences that should have been exciting. Most women, they've never been taken on a little beach trip or a little shopping spree or whatever, getting new outfits. I remember I did not just get a bikini that day. I remember getting like several different outfits, and I couldn't get the cutest outfits when this guy was taking me shopping because I couldn't show everything, So I remember him looking at the mannequin and, bless his heart, the way that he perceived me, he was like, oh, you would look so cute in that. You would look so good in that bikini or in that crop top or whatever. But the way I was viewing myself, I remember being like, oh no, can I get the tank top? Just like a basic baggy tank top that covers all the way down. Like, it's like a full length tank top. So not the crop top, not the little crop baby t-shirts that I would wear now. I was like, no, can I just get the crop top and just like the baggy Sophie shorts? So that's another example of my experience being a struggle medium versus being skinny. Also, I only had one or two good outfits back then. Like it was my stomach sucking in leggings. I forgot what they're called, kind of like the control leggings. It was those black leggings where they have tummy control. You can get them on Amazon for about 35 bucks. It was those. And then I had this olive green like tank top, crop top, but it was kind of baggy, but it was still short, so it was still cute, and it's still a crop top. And then of course I had to wear everything high waisted. Everything. The waist had to be covered. So even though I had a small waist, I technically had an hourglass. My stomach, it was considered flat to the black community, but according to my standards, it was not giving. I prefer to have more of a firm stomach. I prefer just to have more of a firm body in general. Firm legs that are toned, that don't jiggle every time I move. And I know that muscle also jiggles as well, though. So you have to be careful with that, because your body is still going to jiggle. But I just felt like my stomach was so jiggly that when I would walk, like every step would jiggle, every step would bounce. My boobs are bouncing, butt is bouncing, stomach is bouncing, chin is bouncing, cheeks are bouncing, like literally. As a matter of fact, I remember another time, this is with a different ex, where I was running and he was like giggling. And then I was like, oh, what? He was like, oh, it was so cute. Your cheeks were jiggling when you were running. Like he thought it was cute. He wasn't trying to say it in a mean way. But I remember feeling like, oh my God, am I that fat? Like my fucking face jiggles too? Like I was already insecure about the butt and everything else. But now you got a guy saying, oh, it's cute how your cheeks jiggle. And that reminded me of another thing too. This other guy, this is like when I was younger, this guy, he commented on how my butt jiggled. So I was walking outside on the track and I had a sweatsuit on and then I had a blanket wrapped around me. Why did I have a blanket around me? Because it was cold. So we were just going on a walk or whatever because he was a little broke dusty. This was back when I was like in my pick me phase. So we were walking around the track and he was walking behind me and I was walking. He was like, oh, yeah, earlier you looked so good because when you were walking, your butt was like jiggling through the blanket. So that's how much my butt jiggled. It was literally through the entire blanket. So you could see it through my sweatpants, through my coat, and then through the blanket as well. It was like jiggling. So I know that the guys, they thought that was cute or whatever, but I didn't think that was cute because that's not my internalized beauty standard. So that's proof that no matter how much other people compliment you, if you don't meet your own internalized beauty standard, the compliments aren't going to hit like you think they do. And I've noticed sometimes male-centered women, they'll say things like, oh, well, my man loves this about me. My man loves this. And it's like, okay, but do you love it? Because if you don't love it, who cares if everybody else thinks it's cute? If you don't think it's cute, you're still going to have that insecurity. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.